Hello there and happy Halloween. Welcome back to the GlupCast. My name is James, this is Jack, and we're coming at you today with our Halloween special.
Spooky. And to try and make it as festive as possible, tie in with the Halloween theme, which I, off the cuff, don't agree with. I think this is a trash holiday. I think it's pointless. Halloween bores me.
You may have noticed from my attire and the general decoration, I love Halloween. So I was very much for this video. Jack was very much against.
This whole operation was your idea.
It was, and it's going to be excellent. But to make it fair, what we're going to do is, because I enjoy Halloween so much, I'm going to let Jack scare me with some spooky tales. He's going to tell me about some Star Wars things that I may not know about, of an eerie nature.
So despite this being his idea, I'm doing all the heavy lifting, but I thought we'd delve into the spookier, scarier, horror-related areas of the Star Wars universe. Obviously, the mainline films haven't really got anything that particularly scary about them.
No.
Other than how bad some of them may be. So we're going to dig quite deeply into the EU and a few other spin-off shows to try and find some of the more scarier moments which you guys may or may not be aware of already. I picked a few ones I think are most kind of popular, most kind of creepy, and we'll just go through it and see what we got.
Sounds good, let's go.
Without any further ado, let's get straight into it.
Right, Jack, what are we starting off with then? What's the first spooky tale for today?
So first up, you may have heard of this, first piece of spooky media that we're going for today is a novel written by Joe Schreiber.
Oh, of course, Joe Schreiber, yes.
Schreiber.
My favourite.
None other than Death Troopers. Now this is, I knew about it, I haven't read it yet, but I knew about it and I'm sure a lot of people would have recognised it. Essentially is probably the first like Star Wars zombie story they've ever made. So this is a novel, came out back in 2009, so this is like proper EU, way before the Disney stuff. And like I said, essentially is a straight up zombie story set in the Star Wars universe. Gist of it seems to be, you've got a prison ship hauling loads of slave labour workers and other people on the ship, head off down to the sort of slave planet, I can only imagine, where there seems to be a virus sweeping around, a bit of COVID-19. People from said planet go to the Star Destroyer, where obviously the virus then spreads, and we then have an entire Star Destroyer filled with zombified people.
No.
Yeah.
That's too scary already.
Those words really making me shiver in my timbers.
What happens next?
What happens next? Well, let me tell you, without having read the book, I'll be delighted to tell you. It seems like from my sources here that somehow Han Solo and Chewbacca arrive on the scene.
Oh, because of course.
For whatever reason they arrive. And they seem to work with some other unknown characters and fight against these zombie stormtroopers and somehow miraculously escape.
Is it the plot of Shaun of the Dead but just in Star Wars?
If it was, it'd probably be a better book, actually. And if it hasn't been made yet, I will make it. Yeah, I mean, this is the first ever kind of horror aspect of Star Wars, as far as I'm aware, that sort of was ever like officially published as a horror story, as far as I can tell.
I mean, we have sort of seen this come to fruition a little bit later on in Ahsoka. We got a not the same setting or sort of means, but we got a sort of take on this, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, probably most people would argue a watered down version, but definitely like that vibe of having like the straight up zombies in Star Wars is something that definitely is most intriguing, to say the least. So outside of the book, this has been adapted a little further on. As you touched upon, we've seen it in the Ahsoka series with the Night Troopers. Turns out this book was heavily included in Star Wars Galaxies. I don't know if you ever played that piece of shit game.
I never actually played it. I also did not know they put this in there.
Apparently so, there was a planet or kind of area in the game you could go to where there would be just filled with zombies and you could kind of do like a little event story mode in that. So
PvE Star Wars like zombies game could be pretty cool.
See,
not gonna lie.
That would be dope if we did get like a full on, maybe not Left 4 Dead style, but along that vein of like trapped in the Star Destroyer and you got to gun your way through all the zombies. That could be fucking cool. Similar enough, someone did make a fan-based game, Stefano Cagani, back in 2024. I think it was something made on the Unreal Engine and stuff, like a whole like fan-made game where it's basically you know, playing out the events of the book, as far as I can tell. So again, something like that in official medium would be pretty cool. Seeing that, you know, come to
good work, Stefano. Maybe we'll play that at some point.
give us a link, find out how we can play this game. And, you know, whether they did like maybe not a whole series about it, because I don't see how you could maybe stretch out that much of it, but, you know, definitely ties into the what if scenario of, you know, what these other stories Star Wars can make, and if there was like a one-shot kind of movie or special that kind of adapted the book, that would be...
Yeah, much like we're doing a Halloween special right now, they could do it as a one-off, you know, Star Wars sort of Halloween. They've got the holiday special, let's have the Halloween special.
We've already got
Makes
Star
sense to
Wars
me.
Terrifying Tales. If you've not seen that, must be
And terrifying they are.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to watch that at some point. But yeah, that's Death Troopers. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty scary.
A little bit scary. A little bit scary.
Don't get much scarier than zombies.
Well, it's a solid start, but you know, I'm gonna need a little bit more. So we'll move on to the next one and see if that can shiver me timbers slightly more.
But I got another one to come for you, mate. All right.
Okay.
Something a little bit more shiver my timber.
No.
worthy.
No.
Just you wait. So, if human zombies don't float your boat, then brace yourself, because what's already quite a creepy looking creature is a Geonosian. Right?
Oh.
What were you going to say?
No, I don't mind.
So what's more creepy than a zombie or a Geonosian? Let me ask you.
I don't know. Pray tell.
A zombie Geonosian.
No, that's too much.
Yeah.
It's too far.
Believe it or not, this debuted in the Star Wars The Clone Wars episode Legacy of Terror. This is obviously a kid's show. Clone Wars. Big fan of it. Has its, you know, mature moments, but on the whole,
downs,
you know, it's sold as a kid's show, right? This particular episode, I believe, season 2, episode 9, if I'm not mistaken.
It's still quite early days.
Yeah. This is straight after the landing at Point Rain in the weapons factory with the second Battle of Geonosis, which is a peak set of episodes. No, completely lied. 7th of episode 2, season 2. But essentially, this storyline has Luminara Unduli, the goated Jedi Master she is, travelling down into the depths of Geonosis looking for Poggle the Lesser, I believe. During her adventures, she goes down into the catacombs and finds the hive of Geonosians, which have somehow, for whatever reason, turned into these undead sort of zombie-like monstrosities.
Already sounds pretty spooky.
Scary enough as it is, right? But the episode does quite a good job of actually kind of turning it into a horror story, because obviously Anakin and Obi-Wan and their clone troopers go down into the hive to try and find Luminara, and you've got obviously these like creepy looking, you know, hallways and like tunnels they got to climb through, and then all of a sudden you've got these zombified Geonosians jumping out at you, and you know, lit only with the flashlights and the lightsabers. It's a pretty cool moment. They're flying through these corridors, and obviously they realise early on the Geonosians can't actually be killed normally, so half of the clone troopers are shooting at them, they don't die, and then you know, you've got clone troopers being dragged deep into the tunnels and similarly getting spanked by these.
Yeah, I don't want to know what was happening down there, but
yeah, for a kids show and you know off the cuff episode, like, oh, okay, just watch the last episode, chuck this one on. It takes quite a different vibe and a different tone, which was quite enjoyable to watch, I must say.
Well, all I can say is that 10-year-old me would have shit my britches watching it. So,
but I do remember it was, you know, it's obviously not that scary. Believe it or not.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were hard as nails over there, Mr. Oh, it's not
mate.
quite that scary, guys.
Me, son. But like to come out of nowhere and have this sort of vibe is.
I mean, it's a completely different thing than we usually see from Star Wars, so it's, you know.
And it's according to the Wikipedia, the second ever zombie story following the Death Troopers we spoke about. So you know, it takes similar kind of inspiration and similar vibe to the book, but you know, not only have you got the zombie sort of Geonosian himself, then you get to the bit with the hive queens there, and it obviously gives like huge alien vibes, so like the massive like creepy looking alien queen thing.
I was going to say, is that she already given me aliens, you know, classic
exactly.
sort of the nest and everything vibes.
And that alone is pretty creepy as well. I'm sure the noises she makes are like ear-piercingly just weird. Like, and again, for a kid's show, you'd be watching, you know, binging all the episodes together. This is definitely a weird one that sort of like takes a different direction. But I'd say that still isn't even the weirdest one, because this episode is followed by, well, I'd argue probably even a creepier episode.
Surely not.
Labelled Brain Invaders. Now,
Tell me about that.
Well, After leaving Geonosis, with
Mhm.
battle complete, the clone army and the Republic leave the planet, but unfortunately a few of the clone troopers are infected with some creepy little gummy worms that make their way into their heads. This obviously leads to the clone troopers then becoming zombified and sort of, I don't know if cause they're technically not dead, they're just sort of being like possessed by the worms.
Yeah.
So count as a zombie or just a mind control thing, I don't know.
It's creepy away.
But either way, it leads to an even creepier episode where Ahsoka and Barriss are stuck on a frigate of some kind. I can't remember the name of the whatever one it's called.
Star Wars fan over here.
No, yeah. And again, that becomes a very different vibe to the episode where they're like being hunted by these like possessed clone troopers. And I still remember the scene of them like getting the worms through their like mouth and ears, like
Yeah.
fairly grotesque for again what should be a kids show. And I think as well the only way to then defeat the creatures is freezing the bodies. So like you see in the clone troopers like going through a fucking seizure with these worms like bursting out their mouths. Like
Yeah.
it's such a random like what the fuck like weird moment, but it does
But
the
I
horror
think
vibe quite well.
It shines a light as well on what the Clone Wars can do quite well and what a lot of the Star Wars spin-offs do, which is, was in the movies they don't necessarily have time or the right sort of setting for things like this, but you know, through X amount of seasons of these different shows, we get to see all these different things that we wouldn't get to otherwise. So I'm quite glad that, you know, we get this more horror take that otherwise we wouldn't really get.
Exactly, and that's what that's why we need more projects like this, to be able to do these different sort of genres of
Just look at Marvel Zombies. That's a resounding success, and it's something I'm a big fan of.
the biggest piece of dog shit. Do not waste your time watching all 6 episodes of that trash.
I haven't even watched one episode, so I can't really talk.
Well, then you should be a grateful man you've not wasted that time already watching it.
I will forever have like 6 hours over you. However long you live for, just live knowing that I had 6 hours that you never had.
And that's the greatest horror of all.
Yeah.
But that's Brain Invaders. That's the Geonosian Zombies. It's
Okay.
particular creepy few episodes, and probably the creepiest stuff they've actually done in Star Wars in terms of live action. Shows a few images here on the screen for you guys, but just the general vibe of it. It's quite an unsettling one, and I thought it would be a scary tale to share with you.
Definitely not your average space adventure.
No siree. And that brings us to probably the weirdest bit of Star Wars I've ever come across, and definitely one of the more creepier sides, everyone seems to call it, which is none other than Abeloth.
Okay. So we've had, we've had zombie stormtroopers, and now we've had some zombie Geonosians. Is this another zombie story?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Zombie's not the word I'd use, but
Okay.
brace yourself for this particular creepy bit of Star Wars lore. Okay, so up next we have this thing. I can only describe it as a thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if anyone knows what it is. That's kind of the point. But we'll show the image here first to get the point across of how fucking disturbing this thing looks. Something out of like a Slender Man creepypasta.
Got a creepypasta vibe, yeah.
Like that kind of old like analog horror kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's the main reason why a lot of people seem to declare this as like the epitome of Star Wars horror.
The spookiest Star Wars thing.
She looks like a monster.
But we're hard as nails over here on the GlupCast, so we're not afraid to talk about these kind of things. This is our area, let's just say, so let's get into this.
There's a lot to it. I've got to say, this is one of the few areas of Star Wars I'm not well versed in, mainly because it's a 9-book series that's all now decanonized, and I have no idea if any of it's actually worth reading. But we'll plough ahead and try and give you a kind of brief synopsis of what this character is.
Please do.
From my 10,000-page manuscript that's been provided to me. So, you obviously are familiar with the Mortis gods from Clone Wars. Yeah? So you've got the father, the son, the sister. So she's the missing piece, it seems, who originally was the mother.
Okay.
The mommy. So mommy basically was one of these 4 kind of Force gods, Star Wars gods, put it that way. And she, like Anakin, had a great fear of loss. She didn't want to grow old, didn't want to die, wanted to try and become immortal, which I assumed they were anyway, but
Yeah.
fuck it, we will.
Yeah.
So she wanted to find a way to keep everything as it was and get this kind of ultimate power. So in order to do so, she sought out this forbidden power.
No.
And now it sounds like something out of the fucking Bible, but she drank out the font of power.
That sounds pretty good. Where is that now? Why is no one else been using that? Luke Skywalker? Didn't fancy the font of power?
We'll get to that.
Oh, that's going to be explained to me. Okay.
She also then bathed in the pool of knowledge.
Okay.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
However, this obviously didn't go to plan. This corrupted her mind and started mutating her and turned her into, I can only assume, turned her into the beast we see before us. This
timorous beastie.
So this then obviously turned her into this Abeloth entity, which was basically like a dark side god being, kind of weird, space beast thing. Which, I don't know how bathing in any pool would do that to you, but I'm no expert at these things. So as part of that, she could then obviously shapeshift, which is why she 1 minute looks like that, and another minute may take the form of a beautiful creature,
Like myself.
or your mother. Basically had like the most OP force abilities you can think of, like on a ridiculous Star Killer level scale that authors back in the 90s
Pulling a Star Destroyer down.
were just going mental, be like, yeah, you can do this, yeah, fine with it. There's no sense of power scaling, no sense of keeping it contained.
It's like one of those kids' arguments where it's like, well, actually, my character can beat yours because he has an anti-death gun, and this is that classic thing.
Well, this is just a few of her destructive capabilities, really. They extend to large-scale destruction, a nice vague sort of...
That's my favourite ability I've ever heard. Just a bit of large-scale destruction, mate. That's what I'm good at.
Covers all bases. Telekinetically imploding bodies.
What the fuck?
Or controlling swarms of force-infused glass shards.
The scariest thing right here is the writer who did this. What were they thinking?
So she originates from the Fate of the Jedi book series.
Okay.
So apparently she's like the main antagonist of the whole series, which, bear with me here, Fate of the Jedi books consist of fucking hell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books.
Just a light read.
That's only published from 2009 to 2012. Holy fuck. Yeah.
That explains why they gave them the powers. They're always like, fuck it, I've got to go through 9 of these books. Right, large scale destruction. Just, they can win.
So there's a fair few different authors. So we got Christy Golden, Troy Denning. They all sort of took turns in writing different books. But, I've not read any of these myself. I'm not privy to the deets on this particular series, but, sounds kind of cool, I guess.
Scary picture.
But the main thing with this Abeloth creature is just the artist's interpretation of how fucking creepy she looks. And obviously the books do describe her in a similar way, and probably even scarier of how she's this space god entity that seems to be able to have a large scale destruction.
Yeah, what's scary in that? No, it does get into
Horrifying.
that sort of cosmic horror level, I think. It's the same as Darth Nihilus and stuff like that, where it's just he's no longer a sort of person, it's just this being of, pure sort of a dark side, and just has that sort of large scale destruction. I think it taps into a sort of different thing. We've gone from the sort of zombies, which is more classic kind of physical horror, standing there in front of you, to this, which is a bit more of a sort of cerebral kind of approach.
I suppose what adds to the horror is it being something that's never been delved into before. Obviously never in live action or any show have we seen this sort of thing. And obviously, I don't know how many other books have mentioned her or gone into that, but I suppose reading it for the first time, and if we were to see this into live action, it would very much be a completely different, avenue to go down that would probably add to the horror in the sense of you can see Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader, or having dogfights and stuff like that. But how the hell do you beat some weird, fucking, god essentially is creepy in his own way.
Who knows? Maybe they could do that. I don't know if it's even still going ahead now. Where they talked about having that sort of film. I think the guy that directed Logan was doing it.
Oh, Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah. I don't know when this character is supposed to be from. Whether it's sort of prior. If it's part of, related to the Mortis gods and all that, I'm assuming it's very historical. You never know. we might, even if it's just a mention or a little Easter egg, we might get something in there.
Well, on that basis, obviously people are predicting will she appear again, and the end of Ahsoka does sort of allude to that in the sense that obviously we have Balin's skull on Peridia, and the last shot we see of him and of Ray Stevenson. Ray Stevenson, is that his name?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Is obviously him stood on top of a giant statue of the father. So the fact that they're alluding to the Mortis gods at the end of Ahsoka does obviously beg the question of, are we going to see her adapted alongside them, and sort of are they going to delve into that cosmic horror, as you say, in the next series of Ahsoka, and sort of finally give us some answers around what the fuck any of this means. Because I don't know about you, but the Clone Wars episodes with those guys makes no sense at all. Like, I enjoy them, I watch them, but I couldn't tell you what the fuck happened.
No, it's the sort of thing that I'm just like, oh, okay, and then just do not think about it again.
So it'd be cool to see if they do sort of flesh it out and use all the source material for this character and that sort of vibe they've already got, going for them. You've got 9 books to use, guys. I'm sure there's something in those 9 books that they can use.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, the creepiest looking Star Wars character, I'd argue, and definitely lends to some spooky opportunities.
Spooky happenings, definitely. I mean, from what you've told me about zombies, you've told me about some Geonosian zombies, and then you've told me about large-scale destruction. Consider me spooked, quite frankly.
Are your timbers well and truly shivered?
Shivered they are. I don't think it could get much scarier than that. So for a, Halloween little episode, you've given me many spooky tidings, which I can't thank you enough. But I think we'll start to wrap it up there. So, despite not being a true Halloween head such as myself, thank you, Jack, for joining in with the spooky spirit of the season and giving me some tales, some truly terrifying tales. And thank you for watching. If you know of anything that we haven't talked about that's, in the Star Wars universe or even beyond, we'll be interested to see it in the comments, so please do leave it there. And with that, all there is to say is thank you for watching and goodbye.
See you on the next one.
I can't do it. I'm not got it. Stop it.